I mean, I'm talking to you now like this, like there's almost like two camps. The one like, hey, of this, open yourself to the aware spaciousness.
Yeah.
And then there is the, hey, find the root of suffering and drill in there.
Right.
So I was on the first camp first until I got stuck, and then I went against the cautions of the teachers to go into the mud. So I go into the mud, and it's unpacks with unknown stuff that were there driving suffering. But then I feel like, hey, that's good, but then I would like to also, there's so much tendency to focus on content, so somehow it's useful to have a reminder or pointer at some point after the rapid fire or after something to go back to the totality of the being.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. We always talked about that. That's always part of it, that this is based in awareness. And I've even said, like, when you're not triggered, to really cultivate that recognition throughout the day, let that be the ground. This is definitely a non-dual path. But the part that we're having to focus on is the part that people don't know. Like, because I think the resting, coming back to being, is so covered by everything out there. Like, you can go anywhere, you can click a mouse and you can get that pointer anywhere, but you can't get this particular inquiry any other place. So we focus here a lot to help people. And then we add on that, of course, the awareness is there, but we don't want to focus on that because it's just being focused on so much there, but it's definitely part of it. I just don't want it to bring that in a way that now it's not in its rightful place. Like, the awareness resting has a rightful place here, not as a bypass, as your ground, as your being. That's your being. That's what you are. The inquiry happens within that. And as you do the inquiry, there's more expansiveness because you're dealing with really deep identification. So the resting actually becomes more natural. You don't even have to be pointed to it because it's natural, because you're getting to the root issue. I don't even think that people need pointers after they do a lot of third dimension work, and a lot of, like, after a while, you recognize that the reason that you're not grounded in that fully is because of the body. So you just follow that, But in the beginning, yeah, I do think that people need to be pointed to awareness. I do think that. And they need to, like, make that their ground all the time, even when they're not in inquiry, to come back, because that's my life. I just live in that as that. So I don't have to think about it. It's just how it is. But if it's not that way for you, then I would be looking into that for sure. That's definitely part of it. I just don't think that a self can do this work all the way. I don't think an ego can make it all the way through. I think you have to ground yourself in your true nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tricky part is that when you discover the third dimension, even the second dimension, somehow you were already
Awake to that.
open to this spacious awareness, and it was clear that that's the true identity, and then also the mind was not a big problem anymore.
Right. So that's why I say everybody should cultivate that from the beginning. That should be part of it from the beginning. Definitely.
Okay, so coming back to this inside out path, so we want to start with the body keeps the score from the beginning, but we want to start with some first dimension from the beginning too.
Yeah, right, for sure. Yeah.
And also in this first dimension, this is like a whole world in there. It's like, you are talking about recognizing awareness, but that's already advanced. So we start with like, hey, can I watch my breath and not check out every 3 seconds?
Right, or mindful, or just noticing thoughts, just seeing a lot more feelings. It's really big. First dimension's big. So in no way am I saying that. We're always saying the first dimension is great. We're only just saying that it's limited. That's all we're saying.
Say this again, please.
So we're saying that first dimension is great. We're never downplaying that. We're also just saying that it's limited. That's all that we're saying. We're not saying anything. So we definitely include that, because that's the ground of being. Like, that's definitely included.